Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff slams Microsoft Copilot, this time warning about Microsoft's marketing tactics. Broadcom targets VMware users with a cease and desist letter over perpetual licenses, and the first modular reactor moves from concept to reality and starts construction in Ontario, Canada. Welcome to #Trending. I'm your host, Jim Love. Let's get into it. Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff has long been a vocal critic of Microsoft, and in particular its AI offerings, but this time he's taken it further, and he's cautioning that Microsoft's partnership with OpenAI may follow a similar trajectory to its past competitive strategies. Benioff has been vocal about his dissatisfaction with Microsoft's Copilot, describing it as overhyped and ineffective. He argues that Copilot fails to deliver meaningful value to customers and likens it to Microsoft's infamous Clippy assistant of the 1990s. Benioff also criticizes Microsoft's AI offering for lacking accuracy and security, claiming they spill corporate data and force users to build their own large language models. We've covered this in the past. But now, in a recent interview, Benioff has warned that Microsoft's partnership with OpenAI could mirror what he calls its previous tactics used against Slack. Those tactics included bundling Teams with Office 365 to take what Benioff and perhaps some regulators, particularly the EU, have regarded as unfair tactics to devastate competitors. He stated, "You can see the horrible things that Microsoft did to Slack before we bought it. That was pretty bad, and Microsoft were running their playbook and did a lot of dark stuff." Benioff's comments highlight an increasing rivalry between Salesforce and Microsoft, particularly in the realm of AI and enterprise software. Salesforce has always been a competitor to Microsoft, with its cloud-based CRM being a direct competitor to Microsoft's Dynamics CRM. But as Salesforce has grown to be an enterprise toolset, the company has added software and functionality that even more directly competes with Microsoft. In this case, as a collaborative communications channel, Salesforce's Slack could be seen as a competitor to Microsoft's Teams. Now the companies may also be going head-to-head in the AI space, and Salesforce develops at least semi-autonomous AI agents with its Agentforce, while Microsoft is trying to integrate independent agents with Copilot. And Salesforce, as a competitor, is increasingly making noises about Microsoft's ability to, in their opinion, unfairly compete by bundling and integrating their offerings with Microsoft's operating system, Office productivity tools, and increasingly with their Edge browser. In fact, one of Benioff's complaints about what he calls the Microsoft playbook alludes back to when Netscape was the dominant browser, but then Microsoft introduced a free product integrated with its Windows operating system. Microsoft's browser and internet server were overwhelmingly regarded as inferior to Netscape, but within a short time, the fact that Internet Explorer was free and bundled with the operating system allowed it to wipe out its rival. Benioff, and in fairness, some regulators, including the European Union and several U.S. states, feel that this bundling strategy and making your product the default when you have the size of the installed base of Microsoft are a sign of unfair competition. So the gloves are coming off. Expect to see Benioff come out swinging more and more as time goes on. Broadcom, the owners of VMware, have begun issuing cease and desist letters to organizations using VMware software under perpetual licenses without active support contracts. Now, while VMware had formerly issued perpetual licenses, Broadcom put an end to that, but a number of customers are not purchasing the new and more costly support agreements. Some of the reasons for that might be that they're still working at finding alternatives to VMware, or maybe moving out of virtualization altogether. In some cases, perhaps because of when the renewal dates fell, Broadcom is claiming now that some companies have received and applied updates or patches without a current subscription, and that, according to Broadcom, violates licensing terms. The letters instruct recipients to cease using any maintenance releases, minor updates, patches, or security fixes released after their support contracts expired. The only exception is for critical zero-day security patches with a CVSS score of 9.0 or higher. Broadcom asserts that unauthorized use of updates infringes on its intellectual property rights and may take legal action. The letters, signed by Broadcom Managing Director Michael Brown, have been sent to various organizations, including reportedly to clients of Canadian service provider Members IT Group. Some recipients there reported receiving the letters shortly after their support contracts lapsed, causing some confusion and concern within the IT community. This move reflects Broadcom's broader strategy to transition VMware's customer base from perpetual licenses to subscription models. Since acquiring VMware in 2023, Broadcom has discontinued the sale of perpetual licenses and introduced subscription-based offerings, leading to significant cost increases for some customers. The enforcement of licensing terms through legal notices marks a significant shift in vendor-customer relations in the software industry. Organizations using VMware under perpetual licenses should review their licensing agreements and assess the risks of applying updates without active support contracts. Exploring alternative virtualization solutions or negotiating new subscription terms with Broadcom, good luck with that, may be necessary to ensure compliance and maintain system security. And finally, we've done stories this year about the need for rapid increases in energy generation capacity, featuring one of the potential options, small modular reactors, or SMRs as they're called. They're attractive in that they are what the name suggests, small and modular, easy and quick to construct, and with their smaller footprint, they represent far less of a risk profile than larger, older reactors. So it's not a surprise that these reactors were seen as promising, and they're emissions-free in terms of CO2, and unlike solar and wind, they can operate 7/24, so they don't require large battery storage to store power for nighttime or when there's no wind. They're also more adaptable to fluctuations in demand. There was only one problem with them. Although there had been proof of concept work done, there wasn't an example of a functioning SMR operating. And although there had been corporate interest, particularly from some of the large multiscalers, there was no large hydro utility that had backed the concept. Until now. Ontario Hydro has officially commenced construction on North America's first commercial grid-scale small modular reactor at the Darlington Nuclear Generating Station. This is being lauded as putting Canada at the forefront of the next generation of nuclear technology within the G7 nations. The project involves building 4 GE Hitachi BWRX 300 reactors, each capable of generating 300 megawatts of electricity, sufficient to power approximately 300,000 homes. The first reactor is slated for completion by 2030, with the entire project estimated to cost $21 billion Canadian. The Canadian Nuclear Safety Commission has granted approval for the construction last month, marking a significant milestone in Ontario's energy strategy. Ontario Energy Minister Stephen Lecce emphasized the province's commitment to clean energy, stating, "We are protecting Ontario by building the most resilient energy future any country has ever seen." He also pointed out the economic benefits of building these reactors, highlighting that 80% of the project spending will benefit Ontario companies, creating 18,000 jobs, including 3,700 highly skilled positions. Ontario has vast supplies of hydropower and operates a number of nuclear plants. It has capacity to serve its own needs and sells surplus power to the northeastern United States. But the province is projecting a 75% increase in electricity demand by 2050. The province's utility has huge expertise in constructing and running nuclear plants, but given the cost of construction and the time to completion, as well as the issues of finding locations for these plants, the smaller size and modular nature of these reactors offers advantages in terms of cost, construction time, and scalability compared to traditional nuclear reactors, and with their size, they fit on the existing nuclear site at Darlington. If successful, this project could serve as a model for other jurisdictions considering SMR technology as part of their clean energy transition. As an aside, I worked with a number of people in the early days of Canada's Green Party who would privately confess to me that they might have made a mistake in opposing nuclear power, given that many of the alternatives, what they felt for some was the crazed idea of clean coal or even using natural gas, still had issues of CO2 emissions. Wind and solar are certainly growing alternatives, but they face enormous resistance, fairly or unfairly, in terms of cost and mostly of appearance. Donald Trump is famous for his opposition to wind farms, and he's effectively canceled more than one large project by withdrawing federal support. And in Canada, the Premier of Alberta has made similar noises about the appearance of windmills. Stakeholders in the energy sector will monitor the Darlington SMR project's progress as a benchmark for SMR deployment, and the project may prove that the concept of SMRs could revive the idea that in this new form, nuclear power could be a fast and cost-effective solution to the growing need for increased power, particularly for cloud computing and AI over the next decade. And that's our show. Stick with us this weekend as Project Synapse returns with a look at AI sovereignty and a new surprise project that we're going to reveal. Join us Saturday morning or whenever you listen to long-form podcasts. I'm your host, Jim Love. Have a fantastic Friday.